Hey, what's up everybody, this is Forever1 and today I want to go over some new patch notes for Atlas. Now we recently got version 18.0, which is 18.15 now, so another major version. Most of these major versions are just a little bit bigger, usually have some type of big changes, and then they keep updating what the version is going to be in February. But we do have some smaller patches down here that have some kind of big impact. Fix a case where players/boats would get stuck playing transition ping pong between two servers, frequently happening with large boats. This is basically, I'm pretty sure you just like constantly get loaded back and forth in between a zone, or in between two grids, so that's a good change. This is a pretty big one. Pinging on an enemy claim flag should now show all contesting NPC crew in addition to players. So if you guys play PvE, I don't know if this is actually a thing in PvE, or if you haven't done any PvP raiding, basically when you place a claim flag down to try to declaim someone's claim and claim it for yourself, if there's any NPCs, logged on players or logged off sleeper players, or any ships actually, but ships it doesn't need a ping, you can go to the enemy's flag, not your own place down flag, the enemy's flag that you're trying to contest, and if you hold E on it, there's an option to show contesters, and it'll show you basically two swords showing you where any players are, any sleeping players, any NPCs are now, which is the update. This is only for a couple seconds that it shows you, so you kind of just know what buildings and stuff things are in to be able to go kill them, so you can actually declaim and claim it for yourself. This is a pretty big increase, because before people could just set NPCs in any building, so you're like, well, I guess I have to blow into everything to find whatever is still contesting the claim. So pretty nice change there. Multiple server performance optimizations for companies on servers. Improved ship position on the minimap so that updates more smoothly. So this is, if you're trying to see where you're going, this is helpful, because if you zoom in more on the map before, even if you're zoomed in fully, it would like just kind of chunk or lag going where your ship's going, so it's much harder to tell if you were using that to tell where you're going. Now it's smooth, it's just a consistent like movement of the ship. I'm pretty sure X showing your character was always kind of smooth, but the ship wasn't, so now it's much smoother, much easier to know where you're actually going. So then we have the the big version. Turrets and cannons will no longer fire underwater and can no longer be mounted underwater. This was actually something I was going to test once they made Puckle guys immune to damage, because you could technically, I was actually wondering if you would be able to put them underwater on a Puckle and they wouldn't take damage from drowning or something like that. I know turrets and cannons, I don't know why it says turrets and cannons, so Puckles would be in this, so I don't need to try it anymore. But I know I've seen some type of weapons be shot underwater, and it was just kind of placed there. It wasn't anyone using like a ridiculous amount of like underwater weapons to destroy people or anything like that. It was just kind of slightly underwater. Fix a bug allowing players to reset all glider codons by moving the glider between hot bar slots. Now, I was working on making a video for this because there was multiple Reddit posts, and we actually got attacked by the guy, or one of the guys that was doing this from CTSG. I actually killed one of the guys glitching with the glider. So basically what would happen is, if you had a glider, you could basically fly unlimited amounts if you would, when you were like going up to get more height, I guess. You could switch the glider to a different side of your bar, basically removing the cooldown of doing this. Basically just allowing you to fly an unlimited amount, which was absolutely ridiculous. And I don't think anyone's going to get banned from this now who are doing it. I definitely think they should still get banned or suspended for doing this, because companies, especially CTSG, were like specifically telling players and having groups of people doing this and encouraging them to use a clear exploit that was not like something that was just happening when you were playing, that's easy to do, like not specifically going for it, but it was like you had to specifically move it to another slot in your bar while doing like a specific thing with the glider. So it was completely just using an exploit full well knowing you're just exploiting a exploit as much as you possibly can. Increase the require minimum diving velocity before going into the glide fall state to reduce gaining / maintaining height. So more nerfs to the glider, which I like. The glider should not be, you can go across entire grids. Even without the glitch, you can go ridiculous amount of distance. I'm glad they're nerfing that. Glider should be, you go up to a high point and you can glide quite a bit of distance on an island, not across islands and across grids. Ghost ships have effects and will now take damage. Or ghost ship. So the ghost ship isn't Ships of the Damned. The ghost ship is the actual ghost ship that is a power stone. It's like a ghost ship galleon. It's supposed to be super, super hard. They even took that power stone off the summoning for the Kraken, so you only need 8 instead of all 9, which that one gives you a 9th. Eliminated cannon animations playing entirely on the server for performance savings. So I think this is just something that it wasn't like a client side thing. All cannons would be like played on the server for some reason. I don't exactly know what this entails. I haven't seen any differences, but if they're getting performance savings, that's good. Option to hide territory broadcast messages, and that is if you go into a new territory or a claim and a message pops up on your screen. That's what that is. Territory broadcast message boxes now scale accordingly to the character size of the message. This is much better. This was the biggest thing I noticed. If it's just a small message, it's a small box with a white border now. Before, it was literally just basically half your screen was taken up no matter what the message was. So it's much nicer. It's nicer that it's much smaller, and you would have to put a paragraph on there to make it as close to as big as it was before, which is nice, because it would be, especially it would be annoying if you were on like someone else's island or something and every new flag you went to just had a different message, which some people did. Gunport camera socket has been lowered and moved forward for better viewing when shooting from gun ports. So it's basically kind of pushing your camera outside the ship, kind of, or like forward more. So when you're using gun ports, you can actually see out of them better, because it was ridiculously hard to actually use players shooting at gun ports. Most people didn't use players, they just put NPCs on them. PvE players will now be able to see their claim flags and activity timer on the flag itself. Attacking player no longer needs to be in range for declaiming process. Glider now has a required dive duration rather than a forced dive cooldown. Achieves the same nerf effect on glider spam and feels better to use. So just more glider changes. Then we have a pretty big change. So whale counts have been boosted on the tundra and reduce the spawn interval between whales by 50%. So basically what this is doing is increasing the spawn rate, basically increasing their spawn rate and then reducing the amount of time in between like their spawns. So there's more whales out, and then say if one dies or whatever, the next one spawns 50% faster than it would have, which is nice. Basically, if you don't know, farming whales, I don't actually know if both whales give gold anymore. I heard sperm whales don't give gold, but the big blue whales still give gold. But they give a pretty big chunk of gold. I want to say like 1,000 or something around that for killing one. You also get blubber from killing them, which is a different type of oil if you're making something that making a higher blueprint that needs oils. Then we have wild dragon damage has been reduced by 30%. Then Golden Age runes have had their spawn interval increase from 30 seconds to 5 minutes, and increased distance from players from 7,700 to 9,000. So basically what this is doing is Golden Age runes, if you don't know, normal creatures that are there can go much higher level, like over level 100. Then there is whatever like mini bosses there, dragon or hydra or whatever. There's really high level skeletons like the treasure map skeletons. Or I guess Army of the Damned, they're specifically called. They can go also up over level 100. There are dinosaurs, which are the razor tooths and the, what are they, shield horns? Or is it shield horns? Something like that are basically trikes. So it's super hard to survive there. There's also cyclopses everywhere. So basically what they did was their spawn intervals, which is basically, say one dies, the next one would spawn before, or the next thing would spawn 30 seconds before. Now it's 5 minutes. And then they increase the range, or reduce the range of how far, am I saying that right? Basically, stuff doesn't spawn as close to players as it did before. So it's, stuff has to spawn farther away from players, which is a good change. Golden Age runes are absolutely ridiculous. They should probably reduce the actual amount of things on the island. The spawner interval will help with that quite a bit, but maybe they want to keep it so there can build up a lot of stuff when people go there, because they are basically big dungeon islands. Various buffs as changes made to musical songs played on the accordion. Details can be found here. We have some planned updates to come for the War Drum in the future update, which involves some technical issues. So basically, it just kind of, you guys can check this out. But they actually show you in this, which is kind of nice. But they changed like how the different buffs and stuff work. It tells you what buffs they give here. But the time is really small, so I think these kind of like buff time increases are new, maybe. I've never really looked into it. I played some of these songs successfully, but I've never really done much past that because the buffs were so small. But you guys can check that out if you want to know more about that. They can actually give some pretty good buffs as well. PvE claim flag and activity timer has been adjusted so that it now scales dynamically. A company with a small number of flags will be declaimable after 3 weeks of inactivity, where a company with a large number of claim flags would be declaimable after 3 days. The gold costs have been increased on upgrading higher quality items and structures. So if you don't know what this is, basically if you get a blueprint is going to just, have the increased stats, whatever it has on it. It's going to have increased durability, increased damage if it's weapons or whatever. The secondary stats you can get on armor and stuff like that. But then they'll have a certain amount of crafts, which is just kind of how many you can craft. Then there'll be a certain number of upgrades. And basically the upgrades, after you craft the item, you can put more of the resources that it took to craft the item into it, plus gold, to be able to just upgrade the stats a bit more. Like, some high tier weapons and armors will have like, I've seen like 18 upgrades. So that means the one thing you crafted, say if you crafted a sword, you could then upgrade that sword 18 times. So they're increasing the amount of gold it costs to do that. Cooking recipes spoil time has been increased. Top companies will have their names displayed on the left hand side of the map and are now granted special nameplates and figureheads. Fixed server issue that could disconnect clients if they had a lot of map entries. So the top company thing we went over before in the last captain's log, and it's basically now when you go on your Atlas map, it'll show 1 through 10 the top companies, just like the dynamic map here. It doesn't show you where they actually are, it just shows like the list of the companies. And then if they're typing in any chats, it'll show the symbol. If they're a rank 1 through 5, it'll show whatever symbol rank they are next to when they're typing, and then they can get their ship figureheads. So that's pretty much all the stuff. Some decent little changes in the small update. I assume after this weekend, because usually it seems during the weekends there's not a ton of updates, and that's probably why they're also giving us like 2 times increases most weekends right now. But then, since it's actually technically Monday right now, usually during the week we get more updates. So hopefully we'll be getting some decent sized updates, because they did say some stuff will be coming out pretty soon a few days ago. So hopefully we'll be getting some new stuff this week. Some big changes this week. So subscribe if you want to see more Alice content. Leave a like if you liked the video. Comment down below what you think about these patch notes, what you think about Alice as a whole, and thanks for watching.